Hello, I'm Dr. Ellie Jameson and welcome to week 5 of our science sessions. And this week I'm going to be talking about bubbles. So what are bubbles and what can they tell us about the world around us, about water and different things. So bubbles, it's just air or gas wrapped around with a layer of water. So with normal tap water it's difficult to blow bubbles. So I've got some normal water here. Mixed in with a bit of my bubble mix because my straw's been in some bubble mix. And it's difficult to blow normal tap water into bubbles. But to make the bubbles more stretchy, we can add some soap. So this makes the water a bit more stretchy and wibbly wobbly, so you can keep it in a big bubble shape. And also in some of these commercial bubble mixes, then they put something called glycerin, and this is important to make the bubbles as well, because this stops the bubbles drying out and keeps them a bit stronger, so they last a bit longer. So we can just use normal washing up liquid and water to make our bubbles. And that works. And that's the commercial bubble mix that we can use to make our bubbles with. So that's how bubbles form, and that's what makes bubbles. So we can make bubbles in all different types of shapes as well. And what helps to keep the bubbles together is the force of those tiny bits of water, the water molecules, which are attracted together, so pull together and form this nice tension. So this is called water tension that happens on the surface of all water and on the bubbles to hold them together as well. So you can see surface tension if you watch insects on the top of a pond. So pond skaters can move over the top of the water and they stay on top of it, and that's because of the water tension. Also, if you're really careful, you can try and find out if you can balance a water clip, paper clip on top of water as well. And this will be held up by water tension. So it's the water tension that helps us to make these bubbles, and the water tension that pulls them into the shape of a bubble. So you can make a bubble, you can blow it through any shape thing you like. You can blow it through a square, a triangle, some funny wibbly shapes, anything you like. And as soon as that bubble forms and pulls away from your bubble wand, then it goes into a shape, and the shape is a sphere. So this 3D shape that all bubbles form is a sphere, and that's because the water wants to make the smallest shape it possibly can. So to make a 3D shape, the smallest 3D shape that this water can make is a sphere. So it doesn't go into a cube or a pyramid or a cylinder, but it always forms a sphere. And that makes a nice small surface area, and that's what's really important for making bubbles. So with different bubble mixes, we can experiment with making different bubbles. So bubbles don't like to dry out. So the water is what makes the bubble. And if this dries out too fast, it either evaporates or it touches something really dry, then it pops the bubbles. So you can try this. If you blow the bubbles and they touch something dry, like my hand, they'll pop. If they touch something wet, so where all this bubble mix has been spilt, then it stays there. So then we can try and play around with bubbles, see if you can make the bubbles. So if you wet your hand on the surface, see if you can make the bubbles on the surface now. So just bring over here so you can see a bit better what's going on with our bubbles. So down here we've wet the surface, and now we'll try blowing some bubbles. Right, so my hand is quite wet now. Can I touch this bubble? So now I can touch the bubble. Oh, maybe it wasn't wet enough. So bubbles will last until they either have enough evaporation from the surface, they dry out too much and pop, or until something dry touches them, like my other hand. So you can blow a bubble on the surface, and then we can try blowing bubbles inside that. Oh, and the bubbles string together. And then if we keep it wet again, we can try making our bubbles bigger. And we just keep blowing air inside them. And this is the air which comes from your lungs. You can blow it out to inflate the bubbles like a balloon until they get too big. And find out what's the biggest bubble you can blow before it pops. And when it gets to a certain size, it doesn't feel like it's getting any bigger anymore. But it's still growing. And then can we blow one inside this, or is this going to be too big? Oh, it's popped again. Yeah, so you can have some fun making some different shaped ones and see if you can push something wet through them, and then see if you've got something dry as well to push through them and see what happens then. So as soon as I wet it, I can push it through, but when it was dry, it didn't work. So with our bubble mix as well, we can see if we can blow bubbles with different things that you can find around the house. So I've just taken a yogurt pot and cut the bottom out, and then we'll see if we can blow some bubbles with this one. Oh, so that makes quite a nice bubble. But what about the toilet roll? Does this one work? Oh. It's popped. Oh, can blow a bit of a bubble out of that one. That's harder, bigger than the yogurt pot, and it's easier to pop by blowing too hard. Oh. And then we try with the tea strainer as well. So it's got lots and lots of little tiny holes. So what type of bubbles will this one make? Let's find out. So it will make bubbles. Makes lots of tiny bubbles which fall off. And then you can try with your bubble wands as well and see what's the biggest bubble that you can make on a wet surface and what's the biggest floating bubble you can make. You can also try and paint with the bubbles. So what we've done for this, we've taken some paint. Now we don't have the best paint here, but we're just going to try and experiment with it. So we've got some paint. Ours is just finger painting paint. The best one to try is powder paint. So if you have any powder paints, that'd be fantastic for making some bubble painting with. So you just take some different colours of paint. And what I've been using is an old spoon to scrape the paint out. And then I've been putting it in some disposable cups, mix it with a bit of water, and then you can add some washing up liquid. So I have a couple of these already, but we'll try with the purple as well. So it doesn't mix very well with water, this one. So if you've got something powder paints or watercolors or something, those would make much better bubble painting paints. But this one sort of works, so it's the best we've got in our house. So you need lots of paint, then a little bit of water, and a little bit of washing up liquid. So pouring just a little bit at a time, because this one doesn't mix very well, until it goes all gloopy and mixed in. And it's looking nice and thin and well mixed together. Mix in our washing up liquid into this mix. Make nice slimy slime. And then we're going to take it outside to the garden to get all messy and put some messy clothes on as well.